and welcome. Hello, and welcome. It's time for our Diversification 5.0 Masterclass. We're going to be going through the 5 important lessons from the wealthiest sophisticated investors and the freedom solution, which comes with the 7 pillars of wealth. So, where are you coming to in the world? I'm always fascinated where people are coming from all around the world. So share with us. Let us know where you are coming from in terms of the world. I really want to kind of get an understanding of where you're up. So let's check at the chat box here and take a look. So we got Johannesburg. We've got SoCal. Where's that? South California, I assume. Mauritius, Knysna, Durban, Cradock, South Africa, Cape Town, Pretoria, Virginia. Perfect. Well, welcome to all of you. Rwanda, Langebaan. It always fascinates me because we get a truly global audience here. And one of the things that I believe very sincerely is that we are solving one of the greatest challenges out there. And it's a problem. Your problem is the same as so many other people's problem from all over the world in terms of what it is that people are trying to solve in this process. And so I wanted to start with a video. And some people sort of say to me, okay, Scott, who are you? Where do you come from? So let's just play this little video as an introduction to who I am and my background.
Every single person has their own parameters, has what they're trying to achieve in their life. They have what's important for them and their family and their future.
But that old saying, "Ver van jou goed na aan jou skade," if it's a long way away from your heart, you're going to lose it. But to be honest, those days are gone. That's 20th century. If you're not thinking globally, if you're not chasing the globe for the best returns, you're in the 20th century. It's very simple.
Could you maybe give us some more insight on where people should be looking? I believe you've just written a book on this with Clem Center. So share your insights on that.
As a result of the scenarios, and I have to congratulate you. I think that's exactly that.
I'm here with Scott Picken, who's one of the top property experts, offshore property experts in all of South Africa.
You're providing that access to allow ordinary people to make the kind of decisions that, obviously very rich people are making because they have a continual discussion with their advisors.
That's a little bit of an intro in terms of where we're at. And it was so interesting with that conversation that I had with Clem Santa, because I went on to say, he was talking about the scenarios and how wealthy people get access to the best advice in the world. They get access to the best information. They get access to the best opportunities, the best partners. And I said, yes, that is true. But one of the greatest challenges we've got on the planet is the wealth gap. And the question is, how do we actually help people protect their wealth? How do we help people, once they've protected their wealth, come up with a plan B to have peace of mind and to have freedom? And the only way to do it is to allow everybody to invest like the top 1%. Because if we invest like the top 1%, then we're going to help everybody to be able to get the same results as the top 1%. And so without further ado, what I wanted to start with is the purpose of this presentation is to help you invest like the top 1%. So do me a favor, type in the chat box quickly, who here would like to invest like the top 1%? Let's see who's in the room and whether you're in the right place in terms of investing like the top 1%. So Rufus says he would, Mabel said yes, Adila said yes, Bhagwanda said yes, Henry, Haput, Michael, AJ, David, Kasturi, Manapu. Okay, so that's why we're here. That is the purpose. And before we get started, I wanted to ask a couple of questions to get you in the room and to get you thinking. So the first question is, what would it mean to you in 12 months or less to be earning at least 6,000K passive income without any hassle or complexity? So just take a thought to yourself. 6 months from now, what would it mean to you? Sorry, 12 months from now, what would it mean to you to be earning 6K in passive income without any hassle or complexity? So I can see life-changing, dream, fab, freedom, travel, sleep at night, dream. What about next question? How would you like a system which can help you statistically get there 5 times faster, simpler, and safer? 5 times quicker, simpler, and safer. Now, I know for some of you, you're going to say, yeah, it sounds too good to be true. Well, I'm going to share with you some real stories from real people. This was Jordan. You know, at the end of the day, Jordan has worked very hard in his life, and he wants to build a portfolio to ensure his wealth is preserved. When he came to us, he wanted to build a globally diversified passive income, originally of $5,000, then $10,000, then $25,000 a month, simply and safely. He wanted to diversify his investments across countries, currencies, and assets. He wanted to use his limited time to get effective results with predictability. He wanted to save decades of frustration and millions of dollars so that he could get the right knowledge for him and his family. He wanted wealth protection, a plan B, and peace of mind. He wanted to be held accountable with an accountability partner to get results. He wanted to have a family office to help him manage all his financial affairs. He wanted to create generational wealth for his family. He wanted to have a wealth plan and a strategy sheet, and he wanted to get results. Now, do me a favor. Who here resonates with Jordan? Like, just nod your head, put your hand up. Like, at the end of the day, if you resonate with Jordan, if you resonate with his wants and his needs, I know I certainly do. I'd be, yeah, baby, that's exactly what I want. Those are my wants and my needs. What about Victoria? An entrepreneur in her 50s, devoted to her family and business, aiming to build generational wealth. You know, when she came to us, she had a packed schedule, but she wanted a streamlined investment strategy that could help empower her to make wise decisions, aligned with her goals, and freed up her time for her grandchildren and her daughters. She was tired of the financial industry. She had had 3 different financial advisors that she didn't trust, and she wanted to feel empowered to make the right decisions for her and her family. And finally, she wanted to achieve financial freedom to cherish more moments with their loved ones. Now, again, who resonates with Jordan? You know, again, and who resonates with Victoria? Just type in there, Jordan, or just type in there, Victoria. Or to be honest, if you resonate with both, type in there, Jordan and Victoria. Because if you resonate with Jordan, or you resonate with Victoria, or you resonate with both, then you're in the right place today. Because something that I am deeply passionate about is helping people achieve what both Jordan and Victoria have achieved. And the way that we have done it is through diversification. And so if you look at it, we call it Diversification 5.0, and it is all about living a life unlimited. And so my question to you today is, why have you shown up? What is your big goal? Now, type it in the chat box for me. Why have you shown up? What do you want more of? What keeps you awake at night? What haven't you achieved? Why haven't you achieved it? What is it that you want? Why are you here tonight? So we've got wealth, we've got learn, we've got financial legacy for my daughter, we've got financial freedom, coaching. What are some of the other things that might be out there for you? What are some of the other things that are important to you? Expansion and growth, getting debt-free, brighter future, financial freedom. What about wealth protection? What about protecting the very hard money that you've worked for? Time to sale, knowledge, peace, additional income streams, wealth protection for my family, increasing my knowledge with the global market, generational wealth. These are all fantastic things. And thank you for participating. You know, one of the things I'd just say to you, I've been doing this for 28 years, and I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. And the reason I don't want this to be a one-way conversation is that if you participate tonight, I truly believe that this can have a fundamental impact on you and your family. You've got two choices. The one choice is you can sit here, sort of be passive. You can listen a little bit. You can be on your Facebook, your WhatsApps, your emails, and be listening. Or you can be fully engaging, fully interactive. You can be participating in the chat box. You can be engaging. You can be sharing what are the big key takeaways for you. And if you do that, from my experience, you're going to get so much more value out of this time. And I don't take this time lightly. This is your most valuable asset, your time, and I want to give you as much value as possible. So, with your permission, I want you to strap your seatbelt in. I'm going to go fast. I've got a lot of knowledge to share with you, and I'm going to talk quickly because I think at the end of the day, it's about adding and sharing as much value as I possibly can with you. Is that a deal? Happy to strap yourself in? Happy to get going? And always just remember, you might want to just take this little link down, because if you want to book a discovery call and you want to hop on a free one-on-one with one of my team to map out your ideas, to understand how to grow your diversified passive income as soon as possible, then literally jump on a free call. You go to this link here, diversifiedpassiveincome.com/call, and you can literally sit. Thank you very much for Shanika for putting it in the chat box. You can literally book a call. We call it a wealth discovery call. You can sit down with one of my wealth coaches, and they will help you understand where you're at, what is blocking you, where you want to go, and help you come up with a game plan to help you get from where you are to where you want to go. So I really welcome that you take this link down, and it gives you a way to speak to a human and to be able to have someone hold your hand and know what is the next best step. I want to start with a story. And this story is about two brothers. The first brother was 1976, and they were in Zimbabwe. And there were a lot of troubles in Zimbabwe. And so they decided to leave Zimbabwe. He put his wife and himself in the car. And when you left Zimbabwe, you literally, whatever you could fit in the car was what you could take with you. And so they literally in 1976 decided to leave Zimbabwe and drive down to South Africa. And the challenge was that they had to start again. And they were very kind of reactive. So what happened in the world politically and economically, what happened in South Africa, they had to react to economic and political situations. And this brother went on to live a life of reaction where he was never really in control of his life and was, had to, a bit like a cork on an ocean. The second brother, he did it differently. He decided to stay in Zimbabwe, and in 1980, he bought his first offshore asset. He bought a first world asset that was earning him a first world income. 23 years later, he decided that it was time to immigrate to Australia. Now, everyone always says you can't immigrate to Australia when you're over 50. Well, he did. He bought his way into Australia. He literally bought a passport for Australia at the age of 53. He bought a house, cash, in Brisbane. He sent his kid to one of the best private schools in Australia called Churchie, and his kid went on to row for some of the top universities around the world. And the best part is he never actually had to work for an Australian. Now, the question is that I want to ask you, do you want to be the first brother, the reactive brother, or do you want to be the second brother, the proactive brother? Which one are you going to be? The first brother, the reactive brother, or the second brother, the proactive brother? Because we all get to choose. And so those people that sit here and they say, yeah, Scott, it sounds too good to be true, and get rich quick scheme and all that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there were two brothers and it took 23 years. But the proactive brother started making the right decisions, started investing in first world assets and first world currencies, started earning a first world income. He was not stuck in one country with all his eggs in one basket. And 23 years later, when he wanted to make a decision for him and his family, he had the freedom to be able to make that choice. And my wish for all of you, literally my wish for all of you, is that you will be like the second brother. Now, these two brothers were very close to me because they were my uncle and my dad. This is a picture of me and my dad when I was 13 years old. And some of you would have heard this before. But I did my first property project. This was me and my dad at the age of 13. I did my very first property project at the age of 13. Now, the problem with the story is that my dad did what you were all taught to do. He went to school, he went to university, he got a great job, he became director of a listed company, he invested, he trusted the financial industry, and yet when my dad died at the age of 59, he died broke. And I was like, hang on, he did what we were all taught to do. I've also been taught to go to school, work hard, get a degree, get a job, trust the financial industry, and I'm going to retire happily. Well, that wasn't my experience. So I went out and I started researching. And I found a guy called Dr. Hannes Dray, and he said, statistically in England, Australia, and America, at the age of 65, 94% of people are going to be dead, broke, or reliant on the government. 94% of people. 5% of people are going to be financially independent. And people are always like, me. I want to be financially independent. And what's fascinating is that according to the financial industry, you earn 25% less than your last paycheck. 25% less. Now, for me, that's financially trapped. And that's what many of our parents are, and most of the baby boomers are financially trapped. Which leaves 1% of people, literally 1% of people are retiring wealthy at the age of 65. And so I decided that I was following a different path. I decided to go out and I started researching and reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And you've got the cash flow quadrant and you've got the employee, which is all about hard work, no security, no time, stuck on the proverbial hamster wheel. You've got the kind of self-employed, large debts, insufficient funds. And this is 95% of people on the planet. They earn 5% of the wealth and they earn it all through active income. On the right-hand side, you've got passive income. You've got the business owner. I don't know about the easy work part, but you've got stability and spare time. And then you've got the investor. No debts, plenty of money and freedom. This is 5% of people on the planet and 95% of the wealth. And no matter where you are, the question that most people are asking themselves is how do they get to being a global investor and earning globally diversified passive income? And that was my dream, and that has been my purpose and my passion to not only help myself, but to help other people achieve it. Now, where did it all start? Well, I've already told you this was my first property project when I was 13 years old. I did my first property development when I was 22. We bought a house and developed it into 6 townhouses. We did our first London property when we were 24 years old. And I started a business at 25. And I helped thousands of people buy houses or apartments in South Africa. Hundreds in England, hundreds in Australia, and hundreds in America. But the problem is that everyone that was buying houses was limited to being stuck in their country. Trying to get into commercial or international property was extremely difficult. And that's not even taking into account tax structure and compliance and everything in between. I realized that 99% could not invest like the top 1%. And then all of us had the global financial crisis in 2008. And there was a significant opportunity in London where I could buy an entire building, 48 units altogether. It was from a very good developer, Barrett Homes. And I went around to my investors and I said, listen, this is a no-brainer. It's a 40% discount. It's cash flow positive by £440 a month. We can buy these properties at £160,000. And I said to them, I don't care what happens to the market in the short term. This represents a real opportunity. We needed to raise 10 million pounds. And I ran around and I asked my 2,500 investors, and we couldn't make it happen. We failed. Then in Bondi Beach, a year later, I was in Sydney, and I met two very wealthy gentlemen. And I said to them, what are you investing in? And they said, medical buildings. I said, that's interesting. Because, for me, no one's ever taught me about medical. I've done all the degrees. I've done all the courses. Why medical? And they said, think about it. Doctors never leave their premises. I was like, yep, that makes sense. Secondly, no matter what happens to the world, people need doctors. I was like, yep, that makes sense. And thirdly, doctors make very good doctors, but they don't make great accountants. I was like, wow, that's a no-brainer. I want to participate. I said, fine. There's 8 slots of $5 million, and you can participate. And so I ran around to our investors, and I tried to do it. And again, we failed. And that business went on to be worth $700 million on the Australian Stock Exchange. And what I realized was that I'd been trying to do it all myself. Here's a good example where I've invested in myself. I've invested in coaching. So I wanted to learn about the American market. And one of the best in America at the time was one of my coaches and mentors. And I literally, this is him on the steps of the courthouse in Phoenix. I paid him $8,000 to spend a week with him. $8,000. My question is, quickly, when was the last time you invested in yourself so that you could accelerate your growth? I wanted to invest in America, and I could take months or years to learn about the American market, or I could invest $8,000 and I could spend a week with someone and I could learn massively. I could accelerate that growth by learning from my coach or my mentor. Now, who here has tried to do it themselves? Anyone like me? Like I'd be like nodding to the teacher. Yep, definitely me. I spent 14 years trying to do it on my own. And yet, this was, one of the times where I invested $8,000 to get results. Another time was I was in Fiji with Tony Robbins. Now, what was interesting, Tony Robbins says, the fastest way to success is to copy a successful person. The fastest way to wealth is to copy a wealthy person. But I learned a very valuable lesson. And if I was you, I would literally take out your pen and your piece of paper right now. So just take out your pen and your piece of paper. Because as Tony Robbins says, the fastest way to wealth is to copy wealthy people. But what I learned from him, the fastest way is actually through partnership. So the fastest way is through partnership. And what is so interesting is that I invested $50,000 in myself. I made an investment, a personal development investment in myself of $50,000. And what that allowed me to do was to learn from some of the best people in the world about business, and it allowed me to partner with them. And I had the privilege of literally partnering with Tony Robbins. We started a business. They had business breakthroughs. I got the rights for Business Breakthroughs Africa, and it was to help companies grow faster, better, smarter. I've had the privilege of partnering with them, and that's when I learned the true power of partnership. So I ask you again, when was the last time you invested in yourself so that you could accelerate your growth, so that you could get what you want? When was the last time you paid a coach or a mentor to help you get what you want? I know that for me, it's one of the most greatest superpowers I have, because from there I went on. And for over a decade, 14 years to be exact, I'd been trying to get into commercial property. And in 2014, I finally did it by partnership. I partnered with some very wealthy and successful people, and we bought a portfolio of 6 buildings. It was worth $16 million, and we invested in this deal. We held it for 5 years, and then we exited it after 5 years. And we sold it to a fund to a REIT. And we earned an income return of 8% a year, a cash-on-cash return of 8% a year for 5 years. And then when we sold it, we got a total return of about 15% a year, an IRR of about 15%, a total return 15% per year. Now, who here would like these returns? I mean, just show me your hand, put your hand up, give me a nod, say yeah in the chat box. Come on, I'd like to know who would like returns like this. because this is what I achieved, and 82 other investors achieved it. And we did it through partnership. And it all started with me making an investment in a coach. It all started with me going out, finding the best, investing in myself, and paying them to learn from them and be taught so that I can accelerate my growth. We went on to invest all over America, all over England, all over Europe, all over Australia, and all over South Africa. We've now helped people in 178 countries. We've facilitated over $1.3 billion. We've paid out over $31 million in dividends and distributions and exits. And we've helped thousands and thousands of people from all different walks of life, be they teachers, plumbers, businessmen, CAs, investors, men, women, from all these different countries. And I can just show you faces after faces after faces of people that have invested, diversified. And for those women out there, I think one of the greatest things that's happening around the world is this whole empowerment of women and women working together and investing. And really, there's been this seismic shift over the last decade towards women and wealth. And so if you agree with it, woman, just type in the word woman, because this is changing. And you too can be part of this change. You too can be empowered and take control of your life. But what I find from all of these different people is that what they are looking for, the first thing that people are looking for is to protect their wealth. You've worked hard for your money and you want to protect your money. The second thing that people are looking for is they want a plan B. They want to know that they don't have all their eggs in one basket. The third thing is that they want peace of mind. They don't want to be stuck worrying about one stock market or one country or one currency. And lastly, they want freedom. So how many of you resonate with some of those things? Do me a favor. Type down what you resonate with. Is it wealth protection? Is it a plan B? Is it peace of mind? Is it freedom? Because from my experience, across 178 countries and 28 years, I found that these are some of the greatest things that people are actually looking for. The challenge we've got, though, is we live in crazy times. You know, in the last couple of years, we've had the Ukraine war, inflation, interest rates rising, fuel prices going up, the stock market all over the place, load shedding in South Africa, the Israeli conflict, the Trump assassination, Labour winning by record margins in England, the GNU. Something happened in England today, by the way. Everyone's up in arms that the costs have gone up again with GNU. Biden quitting the race, Trump's landslide, Trump's inauguration, the tariff wars, and more recently, all the land problems here in South Africa. And I believe that the only way to take on this uncertainty is through diversification 5.0. There's a formula where you have to diversify across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And it's all about passive income, which sits at the middle. And I'm going to share with you the 5 greatest lessons that I've learned from some of the wealthiest investors around the world. But before I do, I've dealt with thousands and thousands of people from all over the world. And I wanted to share with you the pain of not taking action. Because I've had these people, thousands of them, sitting in rooms, sitting on webinars, listening just like you're listening to me presenting and teaching about the different markets, the different asset classes, the different partners. And they sit there and they say, yeah, maybe, I don't know, yeah, it sounds too good to be true. And yet what's so interesting is that when you look at all the thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people that I've presented to over the last 20 plus years, so many people come up to me and they say, Scott, I met you in X 2007, 2010, 2015, and I just wish I'd taken action. Now, you might want to take your camera out and literally take a picture of this. This is a Harvard study. And what it's basically showing you is that after 3 weeks, you're only going to recall 70% of what I'm teaching. And after 3 months, you're only going to recall 10%. Literally nothing. Whereas if you actually take action and get involved, you're going to recall 95% after 3 months. And so I know there's lots of you. I recognize the names. There's lots of you that have been watching me for months and years. And my question to you is, are you going to do it different? Are you going to draw a line in the sand and say, no further? No further. It is time for me to take control. It is time for me to take control of my financial future. It is time for me to finally do diversification, to get wealth protection, to get a plan B, to get peace of mind. Tonight and no further. That is my wish for you, is that you make that mental commitment. And if you want to look at the finances of non-commitment, I'll share with you a little gift right at the end. It's called a return on investment calculator. And if you'd have just $12,000, and if you have the right investment partners compared to just the average, over the next 10 years, taking action today, in today's money, will be worth $48,000 to you. $48,000. So I remind you, if you have $12,000 and you don't take action, you are wasting nearly $50,000 over the next 10 years. Now, if that's not enough to get you to take action, then I don't know what is. I want to do a little recap. So last week I did the first stage. This is the second stage. This is the more advanced. But last week I did the how to get paid while you sleep. And I want to recap for you that there are 4 traps which are stopping you from getting paid. The first one is relying on a single source of income, whereas the wealthy build multiple income streams that work together. The second is investing without a strategy. Many people invest blindly, hoping for returns, but smart investors use a proven system. The third is thinking you need a lot of money to start. The truth is you can start earning passive income with as little as $10. And trap 4, buying houses will fund your retirement. The truth is your home doesn't generate passive income. It costs you money. And traditional rental properties, well, they are far from passive. There's also, and you might want to just take a picture of this. Do me a favor. I'm going to have a quick sip of water. You take a picture of this, because this is the foundational stuff upon what I'm going to share for you tonight. Then there's the 4 elements to passive income and freedom. The first is that you need access to the right partners. The second is that you need access to the right deals. The third is that you need the right information. And the fourth is that you need diversification. And this is going to help you, show you how you too can get paid. And by the way, if you see this little camera picture here, then you should be taking a picture, because these are the most powerful and important slides for you so that you can remember them. But ultimately, this is going to help you figure out how to get paid a diversified passive income of $6,000 or more. That is why we are here. If you want a passive income of $6,000 or more as soon as possible, then you're in the right place. I'll share with you later about our mastermind. And what our mastermind is all about, it's called Private Wealth Global, and it's about getting results safely and simply. It's an enhanced partnership between our family office and ourselves. And if you don't know what a family office is, they literally work with the wealthiest of the wealthy around the world. And we've been able to democratize access to a family office so they can help you with your tax, with your structuring, with your pension, so that you truly can have wealth protection, a plan B, peace of mind, freedom, diversification, generational wealth, and even legacy. And I've shown you from 2 of the examples where I've invested in myself. By investing in yourself, you can go, statistically, according to Harvard, you can go 5 times faster, simpler, and safer. So, do me a favor, type it in the chat box. Who would like me to go into the details of how you can go 5 times simpler, safer, and faster. I can see lots of chats coming through. So before I get started, this is not going to be any financial advice. I just wanted to share with you my lessons. I've been doing this for 28 years, like I've already said, people in 178 countries. I've facilitated $1.3 billion. And what I've learned is by spotting and watching patterns of what the wealthiest people in the world are doing. And if you look at what the wealthiest people in the world are doing during uncertain times, there are 5 things which they are doing. And again, I'd take a picture of this. It is trends, risk, diversification, tax and structuring, and their team. These are the 5 components which you need. Now, I want to get a little bit interactive here before we get started into those 5 trends. So let's type up and let's put up a little poll here. Who here, I would like to know what you want. So you've come here to learn about diversification. What are you looking for? And it's really important because I'm fascinated to know what you're looking for. So come on, this is your time to participate. This is your time to let me know. What do you want? Do you want diversification? Do you want globally diversified passive income and portfolio growth? Do you want to protect your wealth and optimize its performance? And probably most importantly, based on what I've just taught you, do you have an investment strategy to achieve this? So use the poll, please. Go and participate. I can see that 25% of you have used it. And I'm going to leave that poll up while I go through this in terms of this process. So let's go into the very first one, and that is trends. Now, like with every other one, there's always a trap. We call them the passive income traps that are actually blocking you. And the first passive income trap is thinking short-term versus thinking long-term. So it's really interesting. I brought out this book with, it was endorsed by Clem Sunter in 2013 called Property Going Global. And chapter number 2 was written by a guy called James Painter. And James Painter is a brilliant guy at forecasting the markets. He started in currency, but he subsequently got into the stock markets, into cryptocurrency, into commodities, and many other types of forecasting. And he did a presentation to our mastermind in January this year. And he was predicting and forecasting that the stock market could lose anywhere in the region of up to 85% over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, that's a material amount of loss. And he goes back all the way back to the early, late 1929, early 1930s. You can see here, and I don't have time to go into the whole concept of Elliott wave theory and how they go in 5 cycles, but there's an 85% probability that it'll be returning down to these parameters. And this is really interesting because there's someone that I highly respect, and it's a guy called Ray Dalio. And Ray Dalio, now I've researched a lot of Ray Dalio, and Ray Dalio talks about the massive forces that are happening, the massive trends that are happening around the world. The first is that you need productivity. So you can see the straight line graph is productivity here. The second is that you've got the short-term debt cycle, so sort of 5 to 8 years in the short-term debt cycle. Then you've got the long-term debt cycle, 75 to 100 years. And then finally, what's important is that you've also got the societal, the political, and the geopolitical cycles that are all intersecting in waves. And they all work in long-term cycles. And what's interesting is that the long-term cycle works in kind of 75 to 100 years. And so in this decade, all of these cycles are intersecting. The short-term debt cycle, the long-term debt cycle, the political cycles, the societal cycles, and the geopolitical cycles are all intersecting. Now, you can go and do all your own research, or you can literally get access to a 90-minute class that I did on Ray Dalio. He studied the last 500 years, and he's looked at the patterns and the trends, and he's showing us what is intersecting. And for anyone that's filled in the survey, I'm going to share with you the link to my recording with Ray Dalio. Is that fair? Yep. It's win-win. I want to be able to help you. If you know what you're looking for, then I want to be able to give you the tools to help you achieve that. So if you're interested in Ray Dalio, just type in there Ray Dalio, or better still, fill in the survey. So what do you need to know? If we look back at the last global financial crisis in 2008, 2009, the world was in chaos. And what was so interesting is that you look at these cycles, and if you take London just as an example, what happens is that people go out and they can see price and time, and they see price go down, and they get really, really scared. And so they sell. And the challenge is, if you take London property, the fundamentals are what's important. The long-term trend is what's important. And so London property went down for 12 months, and then within 12 months, it recovered 20%. Okay, literally, it had recovered and it had gone up by 20%. And this is what it means with these long-term cycles and these long-term trends. Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Okay, the poll has ended. And if you didn't fill in the poll, then you don't get access to Ray Dalio. It's that simple. Now, what does this actually mean in terms of trends? Well, let me give you a real-life example. So this is a building that we invested in London in 2009, right in the heart of the last proper crash. So we bought in September 2008. This gentleman, Don, bought 4 properties for £313,000 each. He got a 26% discount, because we could get a discount because of the, what was going on in the world markets. The building was finally finished by 2011. And for 10 years, he enjoyed a cash flow positive rent. And in 2022, he sold this building, he sold each unit for £1 million. Now just type in the chat box, who would like to buy a property for £313,000 and to sell it for £1 million? 10 to 12 years later, and to earn a cash flow positive return the entire way through. Now, again, people say to me, Scott, it sounds too good to be true. Well, it's not. When you look at this research, Night Dragon is investing $10.3 billion into the Greenwich Peninsula, redeveloping the industrial area, 17,500 homes, 84,000 square meters of commercial and retail, 20,000 square meters of cultural attractions. And what most people don't know is they put the London Tube in, which made it far more accessible to Canary Wharf, which was literally the financial capital of London, the new financial capital of London. And that is why Don was able to get such spectacular returns, because of the long-term trend. Let me give you another example. Ryan Border. Ryan Border came to me in 2009, said, I want to invest in Australia. So we started investing in Brisbane and Melbourne. We bought single-family homes, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Brisbane and Melbourne. And in 2009, 2010, 2011, Australian property market was the best performing property market in the G20. So the best performing property market in the top 20 economies in the world. And what was interesting is that Brisbane and Melbourne were the best 2 cities. And what's even better than that is that single family homes were the best performing asset. So once again, Ryan enjoyed this growth, and then he finally immigrated to Australia. He sold those properties. He bought a house in the Gold Coast, and he's now living happily on the Gold Coast. Another gentleman that enjoyed the trend, he was on a webinar just like you. He came along, he said, listen, I don't really trust you. I want to come with you. So he came on one of our buyers trips, and he flew over to America in February of 2013, and he bought a property in America. And I'll never forget, he said to me, Scott, I'm doing this for my daughters. I want to be able to build passive income so that my daughters have the freedom to choose where they want to live, to choose where they want to go to university, and to choose where they work. And 10 years later, it's with a huge amount of gratitude that I can tell you that Michael and Lee are living in London, in England. Their daughters have studied in England. Their daughters work and live in England. And as he said to me, When I joined, it was the best money I ever spent, and it would never have happened if I tried to do it on my own. And so when you track the analysis, and again, you can go and read about it. Just by the way, who would like a copy of Property Going Global? So this is my book, Property Going Global. And you can actually read about it in this book, where I go into all the different trends. And I literally show you that we started investing in Australia. And I show you literally the point of where we started investing in Australia. I show you the point of where we started investing in England. We then stopped investing, and then we started investing in England again over here. And we started investing in America, literally at the bottom of the market, within 3 months of the bottom of the market. Now, you could say to us, if we fluke it once, then we were probably lucky. If you get it right twice, well, you maybe, maybe you're very lucky. But if you get it right 3 times in 3 different markets, can we agree that it's probably got more to do with the research, the fundamentals, and the system? And what was so interesting is that I built a 4-dimensional model. That's why Clem Sunter endorsed this book, because it took his scenario planning and it took the guesswork out of it, and it started helping you know where to invest, what markets to invest, what countries to invest, what sectors, what asset classes to invest in terms of that process. And this is the gift that I want to share with you, because by getting access to coaching, by getting access to mentoring, by getting access to a family office, then you too can accelerate this.
Hey, Scott,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Scott, your audio is going in and out.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. What about if I do now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear? Okay, I just want to check. Can you all hear me again? Gotta love a bit of internet action. Okay, you can hear me again. Fantastic. I don't know what that was all about. So you're gonna have to help me out quickly. How far back did we go in terms of this process? When did you last stop hearing me? Was I talking about the system? Okay, I'm just gonna repeat what I said in terms of the process. So what I was basically sharing with you is that the most important thing is that, I ask you the question, when last did you get a mentor? When last did you get a coach? When last did you have a family office to be able to give you access to the best information and the best partners? Because again, you can fumble around for the next decade, maybe even a couple of decades, or by investing in yourself and getting access to the best partners, by getting access to the best information, then you can accelerate that. And that's how you can get the results that I'm talking about in terms of this process. And I'll give you a good example of this. If you look here, this was research done by the regulators, and they actually showed you've got the stock market in gray and you've got private equity in blue. So the stock market over 25 years has earned a return on average of 8%. Private equity has earned a return of about 12%. And what's interesting is that we, over the last 10 years, have earned a return of about 14%. Now, in terms of risk, the stock market actually has a lot more risk than private equity. Fascinating. And I don't have time to go into all this detail. And I can see already that I'm already probably sharing too much and taking too much time. But something that my business partner and I, you just heard his voice, Shane, put together about a year ago is a course where you can literally go and you can go into this in detail. You can go and choose the top 5 countries. You can choose the top 5 currencies. You can learn about the top 15 asset classes. You can learn about how to find the best partners. You can learn about how to build a portfolio over time. And you can learn about how to do it all with technology. So I've shared with you tonight the tip of the iceberg, but hopefully you realize there's a lot of substance below the iceberg. And just with Clem Sunter, who is such an amazing man, he's an internationally acclaimed authority on scenario planning. We literally had him live in the last couple of weeks. And he was talking about where the world is going and what you need to know about the global economy. What are the globalist scenarios? What are the global flags? What are the global probabilities? What are the South African flags and all the other countries, England, America, Australia, Europe? And once you know this, what do you actually do with it? What decisions do you make? That's why I wrote this book. And that's why I regularly present with Clem Santa, where I ask him the questions. What does it mean with Trump in power? What is the impact? What are the probabilities? What are the flags? And if you know all of these, then you can look at those trends and you can make better decisions for yourself. So do me a favor, type it in the chat box. Just type in the chat box trends, because I really want you to start to internalize these 5 things. And the first one is trends. You have to understand the trends. And you either need to go out there and do all the research yourself and find the trends, or you need to partner with someone. You need to find a coach or a mentor or a family office, or possibly be part of a mastermind where you can get access to the trends on a monthly basis so that you can make the right decisions for you and your family. The second one that we need to go into is risk. And this is such an important one. You know, at the end of the day, you're looking after your money. You're wanting to protect your money. And again, the passive income trap here is that chasing capital growth. If I've learned one thing about the difference between wealthy people and the middle class and professionals, is that the middle class and professionals are all chasing capital growth. Look at it. They go and buy houses in Cape Town. They're like, yay, my house went up in value. Or they buy Bitcoin. And they're like, yay, my Bitcoin went up in value. Or they invest in the stock market. And it's like, yay, I bought Tesla shares. They went up in value. And yet when you look at the wealthy, they invest for income. And I always remember in the last crash in 2008, 2009, the world was falling apart. And my uncle had his money in Barclays Bank. And I said to my uncle, what are you actually investing in? And he said, Scott, I'm investing in Coca-Cola. And I was like, wow, why Coca-Cola? And he said, well, think about it. Coca-Cola is in over 100 different countries. They got multiple products. They diversified. And they pay very good income. And I was like, wow, that's really, really interesting. Now, you met my uncle earlier. He's a wealthy, successful investor. And then a couple of years later, I was reading a book called Snowball. And it was all about Warren Buffett. And I found out that Warren Buffett owns literally 15% of Coca-Cola for the exact same reason, because of income. So wealthy people manage risk by earning income. Now, the first time I learned this properly was in 2002. You can see that I bought this house in 2002, March of 2002. And if you remember, that was just after September 11th. So England was going to war with Afghanistan. Inflation was expected to go up. Oil prices were going up. Interest rates were expected to go up. Sounds pretty familiar from the last 2 years. And all my mates said, you're absolutely crazy. You shouldn't be buying property. And I said to my mate, we bought a house together. We bought this house here. This is our house here. I said, look, if we buy this 3-bedroom place and we put a conservatory on it, we can turn it into a 5-bedroom house and we can earn a positive passive income of £1,000 per month. Even if interest rates and costs go up, we can still earn over £1,000 per month. And so we did. And what we have done, we still own this property to this day. We've ridden all the ebbs and flows of the market because we had positive passive income. You know, back in the crash of 2008, 2009, I remember actually asking people, you know, in the American property market, the American residential property market, in different cities, the market lost anywhere from 40 to 70%. And I remember talking to some of our medical partners, and I said, how much, you know, did you stop earning income? And they were like, no, not at all. And so again, they focused on income, and it allowed them just to cruise straight the way through. Another good example, in the middle of COVID, everyone was like, no, you can't invest in Office Park. And we invested with Feldman. They've got $3.2 billion under management. And it was really interesting because we invested in this building. Now, just before I share here, how many of you, I mean, literally nod your heads for me, please. How many of you would like to invest in a building like this? I must admit, I never thought that I would get to invest in a building like this. So we bought this building. We invested alongside them in December of 2020, so right in the middle of COVID. And you can see I'm just logging in to the system. Might as well get the other ones open in the meantime. So, come on, what's it taking so long for? So I'm just signing in here. I always have to do this live. And if I take a look here, 663, 753. These people know that I'm doing this authentically in terms of the process. So what you're basically looking at here is this building. Now, you can see our distributions here. So it paid in Jan, October, July, April, Jan, October, July, June. That was a special distribution. But you can see that it's paid $6,300 every single quarter since January of 2021. So literally within 2 months of us owning this building. And this is a classic example during COVID of earning income. And someone that really embraced this was a lady called Hilda. You know, she started investing in commercial property with us in America in 2014. And that enabled her to actually immigrate to America. And she could live off her income that she was earning to enable her to move to America. It also enabled her to pay to go to Necker Island. She was on Necker Island with me when we spent a week with Richard Branson. This was her with Richard Branson. And it was her commercial property portfolio that actually paid for her to be able to do this. And so the second point that I'd like you to write down is literally risk. Risk. How are you going to manage risk? And in my opinion, the single most important component to managing risk is income. It is passive, diversified income. So come on, I can only see two of you have written it down. Ian has written it down and Andile. I found, and I've done this thousands and thousands of times, if you actually write it down, you're going to pay attention. So the first one was trends, and the second one was risk. The third one is diversification. And this one is one of the most important ones of all five in terms of that process. So the passive income trap here is uncertainty is a problem. The time is not right now. Now, whether your financial advisor tells you this, whether it's your husband or wife tells you this, your friend, your mate, or maybe even your gut feel. This is what so many people experience. And yet the greatest investor, in my opinion, the greatest investor at the moment, he says the single most important component to financial success is diversification. He says you need to diversify across assets, within assets, across markets and currencies, and across time. And what was so interesting is that Ray Dalio came up with a secret formula. And he literally said, you need 15 uncorrelated bets, an attractive array of assets that don't move in tandem. And if you do that, you're going to reduce your risk by 80%. And you're going to increase your risk-return ratio by a factor of 5. Reduce your risk by 80% and increase your return, your risk-return ratio by a factor of 5. Now, a lot of people don't really understand what that means. But in simple terms, what he's saying is that you need 15 good assets that don't move in tandem. That's all he's saying. 15 quality assets that don't move in tandem. If you have 15 quality assets that don't move in tandem, then you can reduce your risk by 80% and you can increase your risk-return ratio by a factor of 5. Now, what gets really interesting is that it's one thing to give you a formula. It's another thing to give you his results. He manages $160 billion. He's done it for 40 years, and his average return for 40 years has been 21% a year. How many of you would like to earn 21% a year, year on year, and he's done it for 40 years? And he's given you his formula. All you have to do is that you have to find 15 quality assets that don't move in tandem. Now, I've told you, you can try and do this all on your own, or you can go and find yourself a mentor or a coach or a mastermind, and they can help you find 15 quality assets. They can help you diversify. And the fastest way to success, what is it? I told you earlier. Can anyone remember? What is the fastest way to success? I told you I learned it from Tony Robbins. One word. What is it? Come on. What's the fastest way to success? I want to see who's paying attention. Partners. Well done, Nikita. Partners. David, well done. Partnership. Rosa. It's all about partnership. And so I want to share with you this little video here where it was a TED Talk and they were interviewing him and they were saying, what do us mere mortals do during these very uncertain times?
So what the individual investor needs to do is know how to diversify well. So the word that I would know how to diversify well and in a balanced way, to diversify it in asset classes, to diversify it in countries, to diversify it in currencies, to know how to diversify that well so that you have wealth diversification is important. Do not think that cash is a safe investment. Cash is almost always the worst investment. So you have to think about that. You should think a little bit unconventionally. Diversify well, be humble, don't market time, and be conscious of the dangers of cash. So
if you can see here, around the 26th minute, he said, you need to know how to diversify well in a balanced way. You need to know how to diversify in assets, countries, and currencies. Knowing how to diversify your wealth is the most important thing. And there you have it. Now, I want to share with you a couple of mistakes that I've seen people make. The first one is that they've got a house. And this was actually a doctor that I know in Johannesburg, and he has a house. And his financial advisor said, pay off the house. Like, that's the first thing you should do. And it's so interesting because when you look at the US dollar to the rand over the last 40 years, it's lost somewhere between 5 to 6% year on year for 40 years. And so you're investing in an asset that is depreciating as a currency. Even worse, they say, no, I'll go and buy some new developments. And, we all know that in somewhere like South Africa and in many countries as well, Australia is the same. You have to put in money to actually own the property. So now you're hoping for capital growth. You've got negative income. It's taking money out of your pocket and it's a depreciating asset. In my book, Property Going Global, I talk about the Global Wealth Index. And this is where I went out and I did a basket of goods, just like CPI. And I don't have time tonight to go into it. But what it does is it helps you know what your buying power is. So no matter where you are in the world, it can calculate your buying power. So if you take South Africa, since 1993, 2003, 2013, 2023, our buying power has dropped by 92%. And to give you an example of this, I bought a house here in Knysna. It was a beautiful house. This was the house here in Knysna on Teeston Island. And I thought that I was a real hero because I bought the property for $5.5 million and I sold it for $14 million. And it was so interesting because I thought I'd done really well. But I then went and I did the maths. And if you look at it, I bought it for $5.5 million. I put in $1.1 million in cash, which in those days equated to, with the transfer fees, it equated to $177,000. I then sold it for $14 million, minus the costs, et cetera, and in rands, I made 161% return. But in dollars, I lost $22,000 because the rand changed from 9 Rand 85 to 18 Rand 19. And the worst problem is that if I'd taken that $177,000 and I invested it in America, it would be worth about $460,000, which means I lost over $300,000, which is about 300%. And that was a real wake-up call for me. And that is why I got out of all the residential properties that I have in South Africa, because they just did not make financial sense. Mistake number 2 is where someone says, no, but don't worry, I'm diversifying. I'm going to London. I'm going to go buy one apartment. And then they've got one tenant, one management agent, and one income stream. They literally have all their eggs in one basket. Doesn't work. Mistake number 3. I had a friend of mine. He said, hey, I've got my own portfolio. I invested in 8 hospitals in America, but now none of them are paying, not one of them. And the problem is that he invested with one company, one partner, one income stream, one asset class, one country, and by one currency. What about mistake number 4? And people say, oh, I'm going to put all my money in one country. Well, if you look at the international money crisis and people think, oh, it's only South Africa or China that have these problems. In the last crash, the United Kingdom lost 40%. Australia lost 46%. So you need to be diversified across countries, currencies, and asset classes. And then finally, people say, oh, no, I need to put all my money in America. Well, if you put all your money in America in 2007, 2008 in residential property, it went down by 40 to 70%, depending on what market you're in. And that is why Ray Dalio talks about diversification. And that is why we talk about diversification 5.0. And that's why over the last 24 months, I've invested in 10 different assets, 4 different continents, 5 different currencies, 9 different asset classes, and 10 different partners. And what I love doing is sitting with people and helping them build portfolios between ourselves and our family office. This is a gentleman that had, I can't remember if it was a man or woman, actually, it doesn't matter, who had $100,000 and they wanted a blended return between income and capital growth. And they got a total return of just over 15%. And I showed them the scenario planning of what that would mean between keeping their money in the bank, keeping their money in South African property versus diversifying into first world assets with a first world income. And a great example of this was a gentleman called Chad Pope. He started investing with us in Australia in 2011. He then went to America and started investing in 2013, 2014, subsequently started investing in structured notes and other alternative assets and even bringing them to our platform. And he now truly is a global citizen who's achieved wealth protection, plan B, peace of mind and diversification. And what's so interesting, if you watch this little video, this video is from our family office partners. And they basically are talking to our mastermind about the importance of the different asset classes and portfolio construction.
This doesn't change, guys. Asset allocation, and this is not all of the asset classes we work with, but asset allocation is going to account for 85% of your return and is the fundamental building blocks of asset management and a financial plan that's going to produce income or anything. But Anthony's going to talk to this, and this will give you very specific kind of views around the returns, the averages, and where we think the value lies.
So that was Garth Wellman. He was basically saying 85% of your long-term returns come down to portfolio construction. So I'm going to talk about that just now and what that's all about. But when you get to the age of 65, 85% of your returns. And my question is, who's doing that for you? Do you have partners? Are you working with the people that look after some of the wealthiest people in the world? Do you think that if they are getting access to the best information and the best partners, that would be good for you? Do you think it might be worth you making an investment in yourself to be able to work with those type of people, to be able to get these type of results long term? I mean, look at this. If you take private equity versus the traditional stock market. So the stock market is in dark blue, private equity is in light blue. Whether you take a 5-year period, a 10-year period, a 15-year period, or a 20-year period, private equity has outperformed the stock market. If you look at this, the majority of you, if you look at your portfolios, on the bottom here, you've got risk. So from left to right is from low risk to high risk. And on the left-hand side here, you've got low returns, high returns. What's so interesting is on the right-hand side here, you've got high risk, low return. And this is a portfolio, 30% bonds, 70% stocks. This is what the majority of people have. And by merely putting in 20% private equity, you can dramatically increase your returns and reduce your risk. This is portfolio construction. The average investor is getting 3.6% return by doing it on their own. And by doing it, you know, the market on average is getting 9.5%. So they're well below average. And you know what I wanted to show you here was if you literally go live to the Wealth Migrate platform, you can go in and you can literally log in and get access to opportunities that you previously would never have had access to. So let me log in live for you. And I don't know if you were on our live launches last week, but we basically now have opportunity in Manhattan. So I mean, you can literally log in here. You can get access to Manhattan. I mean, that's the New York Stock Exchange. That's the building. You can get a total return of, in terms of the different products here. If I go here, this is a debt product of 10.35% in US dollars. This is a total return equity of 22.5%. And this is a blended return of 17%. This is a London opportunity with a total return of 25%. This is a debt opportunity in Austin, Texas of 9.42%. And this is a commercial property in Phoenix, America at 16.4%. And if I go into any one of these deals, there's 6 deals live on the platform right now. And I get started from literally $10. I can go and invest. I can digitally sign the agreement. I can go, I agree, and make investment. And you've literally just seen me invest in Manhattan in under 30 seconds. There's my Manhattan deal. If I go back and I now say, okay, I've got a bit of Manhattan, I want a bit of London, I can go and invest in this London deal. Again, I can get started whether I want to invest $10 or $1 million. We've had many, many people invest $1 million per investment. The point being is I can go in there. And again, now you see me invest in Manhattan and in London. And I think you start to get the sense of how easy it is to truly diversify, just like Ray Dalio said, where you can diversify across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. So do me a favor, type it in the chat box. I'm going to stop sharing here quickly. Type in the chat box, because we've done trends, number 1, we've done risk, number 2, and we've done diversification, number 3. So I want you to type in the chat box, diversification. It's time to really synthesize these important lessons. So I need you and I want you to type in diversification so that you are starting to remember them. Right, who's ready for number 4? It's time for tax and structuring. Now, this one comes up all the time. Scott, how does tax and structuring work? How do I look after my portfolio? How do I protect myself? How do I make sure that I'm being tax efficient in terms of that process? So the passive income trap here is trust us, we've got you covered. Now, one of the things that I find really, really nerve-wracking is that often people want to do tax and structuring. Trust me, I did this 4 times myself. And you go off and you meet these financial advisors and they tell you to set up a structure in some small little island like Mauritius or the Seychelles or the BVI or the Isle of Man or something like that. And what's so interesting is you've got to be very, very careful with this process. And when I looked at it and reverse engineered it, and when we looked at our family office, now again, our family office manages 65 families, and they manage just short of $1 billion. These families need at least $10 million each to be able to have their money managed by the family office. And what's so interesting is that I've worked with them since 2012. And between myself and our team, we've mapped out all the different stages of what they do. So there are 9 steps to generational wealth. And what is fascinating is that by watching what they do for the wealthiest people, how they set up the structures, how they protect the money, how they make sure that the tax and structuring is set up right, how they optimize the portfolio, how they then grow the portfolio, how they start to build generational wealth, and how they start to finally leave a legacy for someone. And one of the things that I find really interesting is that the average financial advisor, the average financial planner, is literally only doing one of the 9 steps. And so I would recommend that you take a picture of this slide. This is a very, very valuable slide, because if you want to work with us, if you want to invest in yourself, if you want to get access to the right information and the right partners, and you want to have a family office to literally be there and support you, then they will take you personally through this process. If you don't, then you need to go to your financial advisor and you need to say which one of these 9 steps are doing, and you need to make sure that they are looking after you in terms of this process. And what's so interesting is that our family office literally took our mastermind members through how to set up tax and structuring, estate duties, and how to best earn a globally diversified passive income. And I will I will literally show you how you can get access to this course. But the best part is that those that join our mastermind actually get this personalized at a 1-to-1 level. And here's a little video of a gentleman. I literally recorded this about 2 weeks ago, and he's sharing his experience of what it was like to work with the family office, to be able to get access to this knowledge, to be able to make the right decisions for him and his family. And my question is, when you're listening to this, how many of you would like to be in control of your finances?
Okay, so I've been a dentist for 47 years. I've just retired. And so I'm learning my new career path, which is very exciting. There's some incredible people on board. There really are. So I'm learning a lot. And in terms of learning, it's showing me a completely new path that I didn't even know existed. So it's been exciting, really has, yeah. My financial advisor, who I think is very good, he's been with me 15 years and he's always looked after me. And I don't think he is a typical financial advisor because he runs his own portfolio. But it was typically that. I didn't understand what he was talking about when I went in there. He could say, well, I'm going to put this and do that and buy that and change this. I didn't know what he was doing. Now, all of a sudden, I understand what he's saying. I understand where we're going, and I can actually ask questions and say, no, I don't agree with that. Whereas before, I just listened and signed the paper. That was it. Now I feel that I'm in control. I really feel I'm in control of my financial future. And that gives me a lot of confidence going forward. And I'm trying to get my kids involved. My son-in-law wants to start a new business, and there's just so much now that I can impart my knowledge to them and feel confident with what I'm saying, not just saying it for the sake of saying it. I really feel I can help them on their journey to financial wealth now. So that to me is probably one of the biggest spin-offs of joining you guys.
I mean, my question to you is, who here would like to have that level of control, that level of peace of mind, that level of knowing that you're in control of your finances and that you can help your children? Because Evan made a decision about a year ago to invest in himself and to join our mastermind and to get access to the information and the knowledge. And, what's interesting is that you too can make that decision. You too can have that feeling. Here's another video, and Niels is in he's in the medical space. He doesn't really understand the finances or the financial lingo, just like Evan, who is a dentist. And this was his experience of being part of the mastermind and getting access to the family office.
Definitely, Scott. I mean, it is so stressful not to know where to go, to have financial partners and advice. I mean, just the connections that you gave us, bring us in contact with these people to understand it. It makes a world of a difference. It takes a lot of stress off your shoulders, weight. It's actually a very positive experience, especially in the world now with all these uncertainties. But from a human side, I mean, this was a phenomenal experience. And it happened so fast for us. But we were ready for it. I feel that we have proper partners in you and in the mastermind and with Calio. It's a very positive experience.
So what I always find interesting is that, if you look at Niels, he said, when I started the Zoom meetings, it made a huge difference in understanding the investment options. I don't feel stupid anymore when having discussions with the likes of Calio and others. Of course, I don't know enough, but at least I can follow their opinions, comments without being completely in the dark. It is so liberating. And I ask all of you, how many of you would you like to be liberated? Yes or no? Like, for me, that's exactly what I want. I want to be able to speak the investment language in terms of that process. And, the other side of the fence is a gentleman called Manu, and he tried to do it himself, and he went out and he actually lost in excess of $250,000 with someone else because he didn't know what he was doing, and he wasn't able to speak the investment language. And then he found us, and he literally said, it's been, I'm thrilled with the opportunity to become a world citizen who can help our community and solve the global real estate investment challenges. So I wanted to ask you, who is feeling a little bit overwhelmed? Sometimes I joke with people, it's a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. There's a lot of information, and I understand that. And I've done this for 28 years, so I'm trying tonight to share as quickly and as much as possible for you. And I can see lots of people are saying, yep. I remind you of Jordan, the 55-year-old who's worked hard for his money. He came to us and he wanted passive income. He wanted to do it simply and safely. He wanted to diversify across countries, currencies, and assets. He wanted to get effective results. He wanted the right knowledge. He wanted wealth protection, a plan B, and peace of mind. He wanted to be accountable, have a family office, get generational wealth, have a wealth plan, and get results. And then I showed you Victoria, an entrepreneur in her late 50s who was devoted to her family and business. And she wanted a streamlined investment strategy. She wanted empowered to make the right decisions, and she wanted financial freedom. And I started with asking you 3 questions. I said, what would it mean to you in 12 months or less to be earning at least $6,000 in passive income without any hassle or complexity? And the second question I asked you is, how would you like a system which will statistically help you get there 5 times faster, simpler, and safer? I've got a third question for you. Could I make you an offer to show you how you could do this safely and simply as soon as possible? I've shown you a whole bunch of people, and I'd like to ask you if I can show you a way that you can do it safely and simply. Yes? No? I do remind you that we've still got the 5th element. So we started with the first one was trends, second one was risk, the third one was diversification, and the fourth one was tax and structuring. Now I'm going to share with you a way that you can do this safely and simply, and then I'm going to share with you the final 5th lesson in terms of that process. So I spoke to you about living a life unlimited, and I said the way to do that is through diversification 5.0. You need to diversify across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And it's all about building globally diversified passive income. Now, I want to play a little game. I like games because I find that games help us learn the best. So imagine that I had an extremely direct question for you. I'm a doctor, and I'm coming along to you, and I'm saying to you, you have a serious medical condition. You need to lose 10 to 15 kilos as quickly as possible. Now, I hope this never happens to you, but it's going to illustrate an important point. And I remind you, you must achieve this goal no matter what. You need to lose 10 to 15 kilos as soon as possible because your health depends on it. Now, you're given 2 options. The first option is that you can go home and you can buy yourself a home study course, and you can kind of do a workout plan. You kind of wake up every day, you put on the DVD or the TV, and you kind of do the workout course. And the second is that you have a coach come and train you daily. Be honest with yourself. Which one is going to give you the confidence that you would get better results? The home study course or the coach? Do me a favor. Type it in the chat box. I want you to really start to understand this. If something is really important to you, are you going to do a home study course, or are you going to go out there and are you going to get a coach? And I can see many of you are saying coach, 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 coach. All of us know, honestly and intuitively, that if something is important to us, we need to get a coach to get those results. Now, this might seem like a silly example, but imagine if the same was true for your wealth. Imagine if you needed to get globally diversified passive income. Surely you should be going out and getting a coach. But for some investors, those that are super experienced, sophisticated, confident, and motivated beyond belief, we've got just what the doctor ordered. I said to you, there are 4 elements to passive income and freedom. You need partners, access, information, and diversification. And we have all 4 products for you. For partners, we've got asset mastery. For access to deals, we've got the platform. For the right information, we've got Wealth Going Global. And for diversification, I've shown you tonight, you can get access to multiple assets from multiple countries, multiple currencies, and multiple partners. We've proven for over 2 decades that we can help you. And what we found is that people are actually looking for a more effective option. Most people are looking for someone to hold their hand, someone to actually coach them and to work with them and to provide a personalized solution for them and their portfolio. The problem is that it costs a lot of money. In the old days, it was only the bastions of the family office that could provide this. And people needed tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars to get access to the family office. And so we decided to change that and to do it at a lower cost and to democratize access to it. And when people say to us, how did you do it? Well, the answer is simple. In exactly the same way that Uber, Airbnb, and Netflix have a democratized access. Because if you look at it, if you take my smartphone, anyone that's now got a smartphone has access to a private driver. Before Uber came along, only the wealthiest of the wealthiest people had a private driver. Literally, Jeeves was sitting outside waiting for them. But now all of us have access to a private driver as long as we have a smartphone. It's democratized access to a private driver. And we are doing the exact same thing by democratizing access to a family office, by getting access to the best information and the best partners for you and your family. And so when you look at this, we've taken over 20 years worth of experience. I've been doing coaching programs and masterminds for over 20 years. We know that the current investment space is broken. And so we fixed it. Firstly, we created the home study courses for those people that wanted to go out there and do it by themselves. You've got the choice. You can do it by yourself. We've got all the home study environment. But according to research, according to Harvard, you'll be 400% better off if you have a coach than if you try and do it on your own. 400% better off. And then I found this little video, which I absolutely love, which, you know, I've been part of Mastermind since 2011, and I could never understand why they were so effective until I found this video.
No, this is extremely predictable. There's tons of research around it. Humans change 5 times faster in groups than they do with a one-on-one coach, consultant, or therapist in that case.
Wow.
So I started looking back at business models and people who had done this effectively over the generations. Masterminds aren't new, folks. They're not new at all. People have been doing this for thousands of years. And when you put a collection of people together who are all committed, all driven, and all so want to make the right changes happen, and you give them a leader to follow who's willing to get in the trenches with them, all of a sudden you start finding real, rapid life or business transformation.
So now if you look at what he said there, humans change 5 times faster in groups than they do with a one-to-one coach. You need a collection of people who are all committed, all driven, and all so want to make the right changes happen, and give them a leader to follow who's willing to get in the trenches. And all of a sudden you start finding real, rapid life and business transformation. And so I've got a question for you. How many of you are stuck in your comfort zone? Because this is where the magic happens. How many of you have said for the last year, maybe for the last couple of years, maybe even for the last decade, I want to get diversification. I want to protect my wealth. I want a plan B. I want peace of mind. I want to create generational wealth for my children and leave a legacy. And yet, year on year, you've been busy. Year on year, it hasn't changed. Year on year, you're focused on your career or your business, and it hasn't changed. You're stuck in your comfort zone. And this is where the magic happens. And that is why we built the Mastermind. Who is this for? Well, it's for people who want and like personal development. It's for people who want to grow and are coachable and want to work with some of the best in the world, other like-minded people, so they continue to grow their knowledge and learn from the best and add value to the best and collaborate. It's for people who want passive income. It's not for people who want to go out there and do day trading or crypto trading or fix and flips. It's for people that are committed to building a passive income of at least $6,000. It's for people that are investors. They might have a property or they've started investing and, you know, they've already got an existing portfolio. And most importantly, it's for people that want to get there in the fastest, safest, and simplest way with the least hassle and complexity. I've shown you all night how to do that. I've shown you how you can go out and you can get mentors and you can get coaches, or even better, you can join a mastermind. You can join with partners from a family office, and how statistically you will go 5 times quicker, simpler, and safer. Who's it not for? It's not for complete beginners. It's not for time wasters. It's not for people with no capital. And it's not for difficult personalities. This is the formula that we follow. It's all about building globally diversified passive income. It's about diversifying across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And this is how we do it. Our focus is globally diversified passive income and portfolio growth. We literally, as I've shown you the formula, how we do it. And then what we do, we set our long-term goal, we have monthly sub-goals, and then we've got daily activities. And what's interesting is that we've got the 9 steps to generational wealth. Now, I'm conscious of time. So who here would like me to show you the 9 steps to generational wealth? Just let me know as a show of hands. Just type yes, me, please. Because I literally want to take you through the 9 steps to generational wealth. This is what I told you already. We mapped this out from our family office partners. I don't have a lot of time tonight. I'm conscious of your time, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. But I just want to share with you what they are doing for the wealthiest of the wealthy. Because I think it's really important. All night I've been saying to you, if you want to be successful, copy successful people. If you want to be wealthy, copy wealthy people. Or better still, the safest, simplest, and fastest way to do it is to partner. And so I can see there's a couple of yeses. So let me take you through it in terms of this process. And I'm going to really rock and roll. But effectively, there's 3 phases. You've got the setup phase, you've got the planning phase, and you've got the results phase. Let's go into the setup phase. So you've basically got 3 steps. The first one is establish your vision. That's where we sit down and we get very clear. What is your long-term plan? We call it the lighthouse approach. Most people are caught up in problem and drama. We get very clear on what is the outcome that you're trying to achieve. You sit with me in a one-to-one session. I'm an internationally certified coach, and I help you get very clear. What are your top 3 outcomes? What are your top 3 priorities? And what are your top 3 measures? And then we write it all down. And there was this lovely lady who gave me some feedback around the benefit of this process to her.
Hi, Scott. This is just a quick fan message. Just wanted to thank you again for our coaching call the other day. And then also wanted to thank you for the brilliant idea of that, sort of publicly putting in your goals in that Google Sheet. I see that the Google Sheet magically populated itself since the first time I saw it. And I must say the 2024 goals are very inspiring. And it's amazing to see. I found it incredibly supportive to see, people's just the amount of energy and the goals, and yeah, it's really inspiring. So just wanted to thank you for that. I really enjoyed reading everybody's goals. I haven't read all of them, but and somehow it's just really helpful. All right, well, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in February. Bye.
So, I mean, it's really interesting because most people are really busy and they don't have the time. But imagine the clarity. There's so much power in simplicity, and you get very clear on what are the top 3 things that you're trying to achieve. The next is that we get you set up with investment solutions. You get access to our exclusive platform where we got our Calio private equity team that does the due diligence. You got a 50% discount on fees, and you got a private banking service. And this literally helps you get access to high quality opportunities all in place without complexity. Then we go to your investor profile. Now, you can't get this anywhere else in the world. We are literally in the process of trademarking this, because what we've done is we married together the oldest profiling test in the world, the Enneagram. There are 9 different types and 27 different tri-types. And you get your own profile. So you literally get your own investor profile. And depending on your investor profile and what drives you, will help you make the right investments for you and your family. You'll understand why are the mistakes that you've made in the past. What are the right things that you should be doing going forward? How should you make your right decisions? And you will literally get your entire report. And, you know, it's amazing the feedback that we've had from people and how this changes things completely, because now you understand yourself and those that are partnering with you also understand you. Then you move to planning. And this is where you sit down with the family office and they do a portfolio health check. They look at your tax and your structuring. They look at your pensions. They look at your property portfolio, and they help you optimize and make sure that everything that you're doing, because you'll find that often you've got so much overlap and costs and wasted money, and you're not even protecting your money, you know, in terms of the process. Then they go to stage 5, and it's all about portfolio optimization. And this is where they take 3 different things. They take your individual circumstances. So this is done in a bespoke way. They take your Enneagram and Wealth, your own personality profiling, and then they do a modeling, a personal modeling for you and your family. And this is what's called portfolio construction. And so you get your entire own plan. Now, people say to me, yeah, but my financial planner gives me a plan. They do not give you a plan, which is portfolio construction, taking into account all these dimensions, driven by the human and the individual circumstances and the lifestyle you want, and building the asset base and the portfolios to enable it to happen. Then it goes to wealth, lifestyle, and legacy. And this is where you look at the essential components of building and sustaining generational wealth, strategies to align wealth with life goals and family values, insights into managing financial, social, and experimental capital, techniques for effective family communication and decision-making about wealth, practical advice for navigating family dynamics and intergenerational relationships, and steps to creating a lasting legacy that benefits future generations. But then you go to the final phase, which is about results. The first one is accountability, mindset, and execution. We all want results, but what about all the stuff that's happening below the iceberg, the emotions, the value, the assumptions, the bias? Do you know that 95% of people are in an away state, withdrawn, fearful, inability to make good choices, demotivated? Only 5% of people are in a toward state. And to do this, happy, ability to think clearly, creative, see new opportunities, there's only 2 ways to do it. The first is that you need to get in a like-minded group of people. When last were you in a group of like-minded people, a group of global citizens building passive income? And the second is you need to get very clear on your long-term plan. And that is exactly why step 1 is to get very clear on your outcome. But once you got clear on your outcome, we then need to break it down into manageable and measurable monthly tasks. This is the accountability. And anyone who's ever been successful knows that you need monthly accountability to get results. And if you look at the best coaches in the world, the best business teams in the world, the best individual sportsmen, they've all got coaches. And this is where every single month we check in and we say, right, are you on track? What's holding you back? How can you get results? We use an accountability tracker. And what's interesting is that 99% of individuals who have a coach report them to be helpful. 95% believe them to be very helpful. And 96% reported engaging in services again. So you can choose between group coaching or you can do individual coaching. And this is where I sit with you one-to-one. Literally, do you want one-to-one coaching with me on a monthly basis? And I will hold you accountable. I use a piece of technology, and every month we check in on your top 3 outcomes, your top 3 priorities, your top 3 measures, and we help you move forward. And as Angie said, thank you so much again for the session. I leave feeling energized, motivated, and feeling good about what I've accomplished. Your offer to recommendations on how to help me to enhance my experience is highly appreciated. You rock. And then finally, you got the daily activities. And this is where it's all about your habits and also about your time management. You'll be surprised. I've coached hundreds of people, and so often it's very busy people, and they need to make sure that their time is effective to be able to get results. Then step number 8 is community partners and knowledge transfer. And this is where you get access to our exclusive learning community platform. And this is where you got calendar events, accountability, community engagement. And I literally want to show you this because it's amazing. But if you go in here, you can go to the community, you can go to the classroom, you can literally go to start here. And you got the 9 steps, and you can manage everything all in one place so that it all happens. You've got the calendar, you can go and see the other members. Everything happens and is manageable and digestible in one place. And once a month, we check in with our family office. Once a month, our family office comes and they teach us, what are the trends? What are the insights? What do we need to know about what's going on in the world? We then talk about our portfolio construction and how we need to adapt on a monthly basis. We have a financial understanding where I bring in an expert every month so that you're learning every month. We get access to investments so that we can look at the investments and finally we review them. And it takes no more than 3 hours a month. People say to me, I don't have the time. Rubbish. It takes no more than 3 hours a month. If you want to be successful, if you want to build passive income, if you want to build legacy for your family and protect your wealth, if you don't invest 3 hours a month now, I guarantee you it won't happen in 5 or 10 years. And then finally, we go to the very last one, which is investments and results. And this is where you get access to the best investments, and quality partners so that you can build globally diversified passive income. We call it Private Wealth Global, and it's all about getting results safely and simply. And it's an enhanced partnership between our family office and ourselves. And as Cynthia said, thank God for the mastermind, the partners it brings us, and the exponential learning curve that it brings to us. And you really need to choose. Do you want to earn 6K in passive income? Do you want to earn 12K in passive income? Or do you want to earn 24K in passive income? Are you a retail to sophisticated investor who's looking to master your portfolio? Are you a high net worth, to global investor that's looking for global diversification? Or are you a generational wealth investor that's looking to ensure a legacy? And so I wanted to ask you another question. And it's a poll. And I'd love you to know, because tell me, which one would you like in terms of passive income? Would you be interested to join the mastermind? Would you be interested to partner with our family office and literally get access to the family office exclusively at a one-to-one level? Which level of commitment would you make to your own results? Do you want to be part of the 6K club, where you master your portfolio and ensure a passive income and have a portfolio growth of at least 6K? Do you want to be part of the 12K club, which is about global diversification and ensuring passive income and portfolio growth of at least 12K? Or do you want to be part of the 24K club, where you ensure your legacy and you ensure a passive income? And what's so interesting is that we've built these communities and these clubs with our family office. And what I've learned is that the more people pay, the more people invest in themselves, like myself. I invested $50,000 to go and see Tony Robbins and to work with Tony Robbins. And I knew it was a massive investment for me, but it meant that I was so committed. And because I was committed, there was far greater chance of me actually succeeding. And so what's critically important that we've learned is that ultimately the results that you want to achieve will depend on the commitment that you make. The more committed you are, the more chances you've got of getting the results. And so let us know. I've put up the poll. Let me know in terms of the poll what you would like in terms of the commitment you would make for yourself and the results that you would like for you and your family.
Scott, can you remember when you were a little kid and it was Christmas morning and you opened your Christmas presents? Huh? Can you remember that? That's
Well,
what I feel like.
I have a little kid, so I get reminded quite regularly at the moment.
I tell you what, amazing. And I only just got a few dollars back in my investments again. You know, it's the second payment I got in that I've seen on my wallet, and it's money that I didn't have to slog for. I had to think for it, but I didn't have to slog for, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's just when you start seeing your money work for you, it's just an absolutely indescribable feeling. And as a farmer now, I've got a very specific goal, which says that I need to build alternate income streams so that the weather doesn't matter. Because that's, you know, being a crop farmer, the weather matters very much, and particularly this past year. When your income for a year is only 30% of what your expenses will be, you're in a difficult position. And to be energized and as excited as what I am in that position is incredibly empowering. Thanks, Scott.
So, I mean, for me, I've given you the poll, and, you know, Derek joined the Mastermind 2 years ago, and he only started with $1,000. And it's been so interesting because he spent 42 years literally, you know, being a farmer and digging, you know, holes in the ground, planting seeds and hoping that the weather would come through. And then he joined the Mastermind, and it just opened his eyes to opportunity. It opened his eyes to new information, to new partners. And the very first passive income he earned was $6. And yet when you see his excitement, that's the excitement I want for all of you. And so don't think that this is just for super wealthy people. You'll be amazed at the impact that this can have on you and your family. And so I've got the poll open. Let me know if you're interested in terms of having the same experience as Derek. And I shared with you this research from Harvard right up front, where 3 months from now, you're not even going to remember 10% of what I've been teaching you. But if you get involved and if you are actively on a monthly basis, you've got a more than 95% chance. And so it's quite scary. Today is the 1st of April. Q1 is done. And this is not an April Fool's joke, unfortunately. If you don't do something different, nothing is going to change in 2025. And probably nothing is going to change in 2026, 2027, 2028, etc. You have to do something different. And what prides me, and I say this with a huge amount of gratitude, is that our mastermind is one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given. We've got families. We've got over 100 families that are part of the mastermind. We've got them from England, Italy, Portugal, Germany, the Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Swaziland, Zambia. I think that's everyone. America. And what fascinates me is we've got everyone from late 30s right through to mid 80s. We've got men, we've got women, we've got plumbers, we've got teachers, we've got accountants, we've got highly sophisticated investors, we've got business owners. And what I find really, really interesting, we've even got the auditor of the Auditor General. And what I find interesting is the incredible collaboration that we have with other like-minded people, growing and learning together. The power of like-minded global citizens that are all out there wanting to achieve passive income, wanting to protect their wealth, wanting to build a plan B, wanting to build and have that peace of mind. And ultimately, it's about freedom. It's about generational wealth and handing over to our children. And it's about our legacy. But we've got two choices. Because if you look at the value of masterminds around the world, generally they're $50,000. I told you already, I spent $50,000 on Tony Robbins. That's what I invested in myself. Now, I'm not going to charge you $50,000. And the reason being is that to join the mastermind, I want you to be able to invest in deals so that you can continue to get results. In England, generally, they start at $25,000. I again paid Roger Hamilton $25,000 for many, many years to help grow my business. These are not numbers that I'm making up. These are numbers that I have invested myself to geometrically move myself forward. But we're not going to charge you $25,000. $10,000. I mean, I spent that literally for a week in America so that I could move the needle forward in terms of buying property in America. And if you want to get started, we're not even going to charge you $10,000. But the question I would have for you is, would you invest 6K, 12K, or 24K in yourself if it would help you achieve your freedom goal? Would it be worth it to you? Yes or no? Type in the chat box. Let me know, please. I really want your brains thinking about this. What about if it helped you? If all it did was protect your wealth that you've worked so hard for, if all it did was protect your wealth, would it be worth 6K, 12K, or 24K to you and your family? If all it did was save you a decade of time, would it be worth 6K, 12K, or 24K to you? And if all it did, if the only thing it did was provide you the ability to build globally diversified passive income and ultimately to give you peace of mind, would it be worth 6K, 12K, or 24K to you? I remind you what Michael Honey said. It was the best money that he ever spent, and it would never have happened if he tried to do it himself. Now, the challenge is that this is a very bespoke offering. We literally work one-to-one. I work one-to-one with you. Our team works one-to-one with you. Our family office works one-to-one with you. And so we can only onboard 5 people at a time. We have a capacity. And so for those that are interested, this is not a solution we can offer to everyone. For those that are interested, the way to apply is literally to book an investor strategy call. You go to diversificationmastermind.com. You're actually going to meet with me one-to-one because I want to understand what it is that you're wanting to achieve. I'm wanting to understand what has been blocking you so far. I'm wanting to actually understand and see if you qualify for the mastermind. And I want to see and help you to know what the best next steps are. And Shanika, thank you very much for kindly putting it in terms of that process. So, book a call. Go and find a time that suits you. It doesn't cost you anything. And I'm going to sit down with you. It's half an hour of your time. I'm taking my most valuable asset, time. And the reason being is that the mastermind is one of the most important things in our business. And I want to make sure that I'm sitting down with people and I'm understanding what it is you're wanting to achieve, what has been blocking you so far. I want to see if you're qualified to join the mastermind, and I want to help you get clear on the next steps. My request to you is that I only want to work with committed investors, and that we respect each other's time. So if you go and book a time, please make sure that you turn up on time. There's nothing that irritates me more than if I have a meeting and someone doesn't turn up or is late. So please do not book a meeting unless you're committed to earning at least $6,000 in passive income. And lastly, I remind you, I only have the space to onboard 5 people. So I've got 10 booking slots available, and I can only onboard 5 people in terms of the process. It's not a sales pitch. There literally is only the capacity that we have between ourselves and our family office team. For those of you who like to talk about ROI, the average person can see a return on investment of 344% from coaching, and businesses can expect a 700% return from coaching. That is your ROI. And we've got so many written testimonials and video testimonials. You can literally go and see all of the different videos. We've got loads and loads and loads of videos from people that are actually part of the mastermind. So if you just go to the link, diversificationmastermind.com, then you can go and see the videos of other people and their families that have been through this process. So I remind you of some of the bonuses. You're going to get priority access to myself and the team. You're going to get priority access to the family office that'll actually help you with your tax, your currency, your structuring, your pension, your wealth protection, your wealth optimization, your portfolio construction, etc. You're going to get access to Wealth Going Global for free. You're going to get access to Asset Class Mastery for free. You're going to get access to our bonus sessions with Clem Santa. You're going to get access to the Wealth Hackers. You're going to get access to immigration agents if you want them. You're going to get access to the Wealth Weekends. It's one of the things that I enjoy most is that the mastermind members get together. We have these amazing events. This one was in Cape Town in March last year. This one was up in Johannesburg in the Cradle of Humankind in August. We just held one recently in Knysna, which was incredible. And I welcome you to come and be part of it. And our next one is in Portugal in the Algarve in September. And then finally, you get access to our buyers trips. And I've done many, many buyers trips in England, in America, in Australia. And this was us in London literally 3 or 4 weeks ago. Actually, no, I lie now. It's over a month ago. There were 22 of us looking at opportunities in London, working with the developers. So if this sounds something of appealing to you, literally go to book an investor strategy call. You go to diversificationmastermind.com. I remind you, it's an application call with myself. I'm literally going to sit down with you one-on-one. I want to understand what you're trying to achieve. I want to understand what is blocking you. I want to understand if you qualify, and I want to see how we can help you with the best next steps. Please make sure that you only do it if you're committed to getting your results. And again, your time, my time is important. Please make sure you turn up on time. And lastly, I only have 5 spaces available. And we do work on a basis where we work on a results guarantee. So we work with you, and as long as you follow the steps, we will work with you until you get a result of at least $6,000 in passive income or more. We put our money and our time where our mouth is to help you get a result. And I wanted to share with you, for those left brainers, I've got this return on investment calculator. So I had this gentleman come to me, and he had $12,000, and he was getting 7% a month, 7% a year in a financial institution. I'm not even going to bore you. This was in rands, but I'm not even going to bore you with that. On average, our family office and ourselves have got a return of 14% over the last 10 years or so. So I showed him. I said, look, on $12,000 or $1,000 a month, it's the same thing. At 7% growth, over 1 year, it's going to be $385. Now, if you invest $6,000 in yourself, that's a 6% ROI. So after 1 year, it doesn't necessarily make sense. But after 5 years, you're literally, in today's money, you'll be given back $10,900. So you're putting in $6,000, and this machine is giving you back just short of $11,000. It becomes a bit of a no-brainer. Over 10 years, you're putting in $6,000, and you're getting back $48,000. And over 30 years, you're putting in $6,000, and you're getting back just short of $750,000. So for the left brainers out there, this is what's called an ROI. And if you're investing $1,000 a month or $12,000 in capital, and you invest $6,000 in yourself, in your personal development, to be part of, get mentoring and coaching and be part of a mastermind, etc. After 5 years, you're getting 182% return, or $10,000 in cash, $10,900 in cash. After 10 years, you're getting an 800% ROI, or $48,000 in cash. And after 30 years, you're getting a 12,000% return, or $743,000. So that's for the left brainers. So I remind you, if you want to join, you can literally go to diversificationmastermind.com. You can apply. I only want to work with committed people, and there's only 5 spots. And you can see here pictures of us literally sitting in New York doing these buyers trips. This was us in Times Square. This was us buying on the steps of the courthouse in Phoenix, having some fun in the Grand Canyon, down at the bottom, going to a show in Vegas, buying houses in Atlanta, buying more houses in Atlanta. This young man came on a buyer's trip when he was 22 years old. He's now facilitated over $1 billion worth of commercial property in America, opening bank accounts in America, and meeting the partners. This is how we used to do it. You used to have to get on physical planes. Now you don't. Having fun on Beale Street, outside the New York Stock Exchange, up in North Dakota, having fun at, I always forget this, not Oktoberfest, what's it called? Halloween. And what's so interesting, I mean, these are 3 of the wealthiest men in South Africa. They knew they couldn't do it on their own. They knew that the right way to do it was through partnership, and ultimately everything I've taught you tonight about partnership. And you know why we believe you should work with us? Well, there's all these reasons people have. It sounds too good to be true. I don't know, ongoing management, etc., etc., etc. But there's 3 main reasons. People say they don't have the money, they don't have the knowledge, or they don't have the time. And I get this all the time. People say to me, Scott, I don't have 3 hours. I can't join the mastermind. I don't have 3 hours a month. And I say, as I've already said tonight, if you don't have 3 hours, whatever you're trying to achieve in your life will not happen. If you cannot invest 3 hours a month in what you want to achieve, then it will never happen. And we've built the mastermind to help people democratize access so that you don't need tens of millions of dollars to get access to a family office. You get the knowledge through partnership, and you do it in a short amount of time. And the last thing is that for me, we are the only people that actually do global diversification. My final thing to you before I move on to the 5th lesson is I'm not telling you to do anything I wouldn't do. I invested $14,000 in myself to be part of Singularity University. I invested $25,000 a year to do entrepreneurship mentoring. I invested $40,000 to go to Necker Island and spend time with Richard Branson and other incredible entrepreneurs. I invested $50,000 in myself to be part of Business Mastery with Tony Robbins and to get to partner with Tony Robbins. These are just some of the things I've done to personally invest in myself and to geometrically move myself forward. And my real invitation to you is that if you want results simply, safely, and quickly, the fastest way to get there is through partnering and to join the right group of people. I've proven it to you tonight. And it brings me on to the 5th point, which is team. Number 5 is team. And the passive income trap here is that people say, I can do it myself. If you look at the traditional way, you're over here, you go to your financial advisor, financial institution, they go through a fund or a REIT, they invest. The layer has multiple fees. You've got exposure to the underlying assets are diluted. You basically are tied to the secondary market, and it's correlated very closely to the stock market. Or you want to go and do it yourself, and there are 16 different middlemen between you and your investment. There's high minimum investments. It's very difficult. There's long cycles, and there's a huge amount of complexity and hassle. And when you want to do it, if you're looking at doing it yourself, you've got lawyers, brokers, tax, due diligence, onboarding, client support, banks, data, tracking, family office, KYC, investor reporting, or you can follow 4 simple steps. Sign up for free, set up your account, browse and invest, and earn an income. When you look at the due diligence process, this is the entire process that we go through. We spend millions and millions of dollars finding the right team, working with our family office partner, working with all their partners around the world. And when you look just at due diligence, the myth is that people say to me, I can go and do due diligence around the world so that I can diversify. And I say to them, rubbish. We work with a family office partner that manages just short of $1 billion, and they don't even try to do it on their own. They do everything through partnership. And a great example of this is this building that we're literally launching in Manhattan. You can earn between 6 to 12% cash on cash, 14 to 23% total return, 4 to 7 year hold. And if you put in $100,000, you're going to look to aim to double that in 5 years. It's called a 2x multiple. And every single thing here has been done through partnership. And so, in conclusion, what is a family office? A family office is a private wealth management firm established for ultra high net worth families that provide families with a selection of personalized services, including investment management, financial planning, estate tax planning, philanthropic investment, etc. Previously, you needed $250 million to get access to a family office. And yet the family office we've partnered for, we're aligned, and they've helped us democratize access so that you and I can get access to them. God said the 1% can pay for the advice and get the results. We need to support everyone else to get access to the same advice and results. And I want to share a little video with you here. I know that I've taken lots of time tonight. Sorry. There's so much value that I want to share with you. But here's a video from Garth on the difference between you and your financial planner currently and why this is so important to you and your future.
A family office is typically a full financial management of a high net worth individual's affairs. Typically, a wealthy person would set up a family office to administer everything in-house. You would bring in, legal attorneys, private equity, and construct a full suite of investment services, from offshore structuring to offshore legal advice. So we set up a family office to be an outsourced full financial services provider outside of the scope of just investment management. And that's what we brought to the table. And we realized that we wouldn't do that for a single family. And that was where we said we became a multi-family office. Our services were well outside of the scope of what a financial planner would do.
Well, talk to us a little bit about that, because most people, including me, only really understand a financial planner or / an investment bank. Maybe you've been invited to the private banking of investment banking, etc. What is the difference?
Oh, look, a financial planner is one service of probably 15 or 20 that a family office does. A financial planner effectively looks at a person's wealth preservation or their wealth creation. He goes, how do I create more wealth if a person hasn't yet got sufficient wealth? And he goes to the typical listed market space. And if he works for an institution, he goes to his employer's institution and offers their products as a solution to create wealth. The more sophisticated financial planner is the one that's working with the high net worth and saying, well, here's how we can preserve wealth. And that preservation of wealth then comes in the form again of the same financial products, sometimes slightly more sophisticated, a little bit more on the offshore side. He's not often involved in the actual legal structuring, and that is just outsourced by the bank to alternative companies. So very little of what a sophisticated financial planner does really goes into him being involved in the taxation, the immigration, the international tax planning, international business, corporate advisory, resolving tax issues, staying current. So I think a financial advisor is largely connected to creating wealth and using listed investments, and protecting wealth using listed investments, which is just one very small part of what a family office really does and is capable of doing with in-house services.
If you're working with some of the wealthiest families, around the world, why would you work with me? What's the reason for that?
Yeah, Scott, I've said it before. You can build scalable businesses, and, I'm both a financial person and an entrepreneur. But what I started picking up is I don't think good advice should be the domain of just the super wealthy. Okay. And one of the greatest problems the world faces is wealth disparity. Where 99% of the wealth is held in 1% of the world's population hands. And we know that's one of the biggest problems that has to change. But the same with advice. The wealthier you are, the higher the quality of the advice, the more access you have to deals, the more access you have to create more wealth. So, in our universe, we want to create opportunities for a much broader, much more scalable, suite of wealth and investors, for example. So I really want to see people that are hungry to learn. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, if we can teach the secrets of that 1% to 25, 30% more people, we create a much more sustainable world and a much more sustainable economy. So yeah, I think that's where, where you and I have worked really well together is to create scalable but high-end information being accessible to other people rather than just the 1%. Yeah. And also, with the 65 clients we have, 70 clients, I mean, it grows all the time, I haven't counted, families that we have, so much opportunity exists within that for us to, to spread that opportunity and create a real symbiotic environment for wealth creation and transfer of knowledge. Wonderful, Scott. Thank you for that. And yeah, it's been a great journey, and it's always so rewarding to hear compliments from your clients. And yeah, long may we continue to, teach and grow people.
My question is, how many of you would like them on your team? And I'm going to chuck up a little poll for you if you're interested in joining me for one of those investor sessions. So you should see the poll coming up now if you want an investor strategy call, and you and I can sit down and I can see if you can qualify for the mastermind and actually have literally Garth Wellman and his entire team at the family office on your team, so that they're working with you to be able to get the results for you and your family. And a gentleman like Alan came many years ago, and he literally wanted to get into America, and he knew he couldn't do it all himself. So he, came and joined us, and he came on a buyer's trip. He joined the investment committee. He said, and again, he knew that the fastest way to get results was through partnership. Why try and do it all yourself when you can literally partner with someone in terms of that process? And there's a lovely little video here that I want to play for you. And this gentleman is a very wise gentleman. He's a lovely guy. He's the auditor of the Auditor General. And he talks about the value of partnership. And I just want to share this video because I think it's incredible. And I know that I'm taking a lot of time here, but this is your wealth. This is your future. This is your children's legacy. This is generational wealth. This is protecting everything that you've worked for. And I'm trying to share with you the best lessons from the best people I've found around the world to help you and your family.
And I'm a living example of that. In my little life journey from opening up my own auditing practice, the firm today audits the Auditor General of South Africa in terms of doing, pre-issuance reviews, etc.
So Abdul, let me ask a question to you in terms of it. So you've been very, very successful in property in your country, but you went and decided to sign up.
Scott, like I said to you at the beginning, I have this wealth. It's all localized. I have no exposure anywhere else on earth. Okay, so the catchy phrase from your side was going global or diversified income going global. Now that appealed to me. In other words, yes, I may be rich in this country. What happens if I'm outside? There's all types of restrictions in terms of the transfer of my wealth, my assets, wherever I may be on earth. So that appealed to me, and that really opened an opportunity or a process for me in terms of engaging in diversifying my wealth. And I must say, although I have the brains to think that out, why must I do that? Yeah, you're giving it to us on a platter. So we follow that process, and yes, we engage, and yes, we will get exposed. We have obviously since did do an investment again in property. Property is the economics, I understand. Now, one of the things you alerted us or reminded myself is that if you do things in teams, it becomes easier. Collective wisdom is better than your own limited and parochial type of ideas. So that's also something I quite enjoyed. But if you don't have that, maybe we'll never get to success.
Yeah.
Surely it won't happen next week, but as long as it happens, I think you're on the right road. And that's the path I've chosen to take. And thanks to you, Scott. And it's never too late. The only time when you're late is when you're late. You're dead.
Yeah.
Up until then, you have a purpose on this earth, perform it.
So, beautiful, wise words from Abdul. He's one of the members that is part of the mastermind. You know, my question is, if you knew or you're not sure, you know, why not join over 4,000 other investors that have got wealth protection, plan B, peace of mind, diversification, freedom, global citizen, empowering their children, immigration, and living life unlimited. You know, if you are interested in that, literally go to the link, diversificationmastermind.com. I've got the poll open if you want to book. Oh, I don't know why my camera didn't come on. You know, I've got the poll open if you want to book an investment strategy call. You want to sit down with me one-to-one, and I want to understand where you're at. I want to understand what's been blocking you. I want to understand where you want to go, and I want to see if we can help you to achieve that objective. It's very much a human connection thing. At the end of the day, I work closely with you. You work closely with me. We work closely with the family office team, and we need to make sure there's synergy in terms of where we're at. So I want to finish off for you, and I love what Abdul said there. It's all about teams, and it's all about doing it in teams. So let me remind you quickly of the 5 traps to stop you from being paid. The first one is thinking short-term versus long-term. Truth is, wealth isn't built overnight. Many people chase quick wins or get discouraged when results are intermediate. The wealthy think in decades, not days. They focus on building sustainable long-term income streams that grow over time. Passive income is a marathon, not a sprint. Number 2, chasing capital growth. Truth, capital growth sounds sexy, but it's not always reliable or passive. Chasing appreciation alone can leave you vulnerable to market fluctuations. The wealthy prioritize cash flow first, then growth. Income-producing assets give you financial stability today and growth tomorrow. I would take a picture of this if I was you, because I've been talking about this all night, but now I'm literally recapping it for you all in one place. Trap number 7, uncertainty is a problem. The time is not right. Truth, waiting for the perfect moment can cost you years of potential growth. Legendary investor Ray Dalio achieved an average of 21% annual returns over 40 years, navigating every market high and low by following a proven strategy, investing in 15 uncorrelated high-quality assets. The key isn't timing the market, it's diversification and consistency. And then trap number 8, trust us, we've got you covered. Truth, the traditional financial industry thrives on complexity, fees, and blind trust, but the results often fall short once you're looking left carrying the risk. The wealthy don't just hand over control. They demand transparency, understand their investments, and stay actively informed. Blind trust is not a strategy. Empowered decisions are. And I mean, you've heard so many people tonight, Abdul, Evan, Derek, all people that are part of the mastermind that are literally getting just this in terms of getting actively involved, understanding their investments, and working together to achieve the results. And again, I would take a picture of this if I was you in terms of that process. And then trap number 9, I can do this myself. Truth, going it alone can be expensive, slow, and risky. The wealthy surround themselves with experts, mentors, and strategic partners. They leverage other people's time, knowledge, and networks to accelerate success. Why reinvent the wheel when you can model what already works? And that's why I finished with Abdul, because he pretty much summed that up perfectly for you. So those are the 5 traps. And again, I would take a picture of this if I was you. And then finally, the 5 important lessons from the wealthiest sophisticated investors. Hopefully you've all written these down. Hopefully you've all taken a picture of this, because it's trends, risk, diversification, tax and structure, and team. I want to leave you with a couple of closing thoughts. This is the formula on how to get passive income. Diversify across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. If you want to do it 5 times quicker, simpler, and safer, and by partnering with our family office, then join the mastermind. There's really three things that we give you. The first is that we give you a strategic wealth plan. This is where we create a clearly defined step-by-step action plan for your wealth, lifestyle, and legacy to provide you peace of mind that your wealth is going to be protected. So we say, right, where do you want to be? Where are you? And we help you create a plan to get from A to B. The second is world-class investment access. This is where you get the right information and connect you to the right partners to help you secure top returns safely and simply. And then we give you a smart investing system. This is where we work with you to set up a predictable system to get you investing like the top 1% and partnering with them. We've shown you how to do it. We've shown you the formula. Again, literally go to diversificationmastermind.com and book a call. If you have filled in the poll, and I would strongly recommend you go here, because you'll see that it goes to a Calendly link and you find a date or time that suits you. I think there's 10 slots available tomorrow. I'm full already on Thursday and Friday. And so, and if you can't find a time slot, then just type in that time slot in the chat box, so the team can reach out to you if there's a problem. But yeah, just go to Diversification Mastermind. Worst case, fill in the poll so that the team can connect with you and set up a time which conveniently suits you and myself. I remind you of the bonuses. You get priority access to myself and the team, access to the family office, the tax and the currency partners. You get Wealth Going Global, which is the right information. You get Asset Mastery, which is the right partners. You get the Clem Sunter Masterclass. You get the Wealth Hacker subscription. You get access to the best immigration agents. You get access to the Wealth Weekends, and you get access to the first access to the buyer's trips. That's how you book. Diversificationmastermind.com. It's an application call, one-to-one between you and I. I only want to work with committed investors. There is a fee that you need to invest in yourself. So there's an investment in yourself to be part of the mastermind. And the reason being is that when you pay attention. So I want to work with committed people where they want to make at least $6,000 in passive income or portfolio growth. And for me, it's really important, please, that if you book, you turn up on time. I'm committed, you're committed. We're here to get results. And we can only onboard 5 people at a time in terms of that process. So again, I want to show you where this all started. Many years ago, we used to go on these buyer's trips. Again, this was us in Times Square, looking at an ice hockey game in America, outside Madison Square Gardens, outside the New York Stock Exchange, buying commercial property in America, buying houses in Atlanta, having some fun as a group, learning from the partners. And, in the old days, you had to get on an airplane. You had to fly over there. You had to come with me and meet all these people. This was a bullfight in Oklahoma, another commercial building that we bought, sitting around investment committee meetings, dealing with Paul Shalanda. We did over $100 million with this gentleman in America. Another commercial building we bought, doing a buyer's trip in Hong Kong in America, believe it or not, in Hong Kong. And these are all, I'm just showing you the experiences over the last 20 years. But the best part about the mastermind is now from the comfort of your chair, no matter where you live in the world, you can get access to the best information, the best partners, the family office, myself, and you don't need to fly overseas like you had to do 10 years ago. This was another commercial building that we bought, and ultimately it's all about results. I always joke with people, if there was a thing on my tombstone, it's literally going to say, Scott Picken, results, because the entire thing that we've done has been built to help people get results in terms of that process. So that's everything from our side. I promised you a couple of bonuses, like the Ray Dalio webinar, the TED Talk, my book, Property Going Global. To those of you that have filled in the surveys and everything, and you'll get access to them. And then equally, if you're still here, I wanted to give you a bonus. So you can go to the link, diversificationmasterclass.com/bonus, and you'll get access to them. I want to leave you with a quote. It's by John Wooden. And he says, a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change your life. Everything that we've spoken about tonight has been about coaching. It's been about making an investment in yourself and being about changing your life. And so I want to finish off with a Q&A. Before I go there, again, you can see that little camera sign. I would strongly recommend you take a picture of that because I think it's such a beautiful quote that you can literally use in your life. A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. And my invitation to you, come and have an investor strategy meeting. Let's see if we mutually fit. Because if we do, then hopefully between myself and our family office, our intention will be to help you get results and help you change your life. I remind you what you'll get. You'll get access to the Mastermind, which is all about results. You'll get the 9 steps to generational wealth, which is all about information. You'll get access to the family office, which is the right partners. You'll get accountability, mindset, and execution, the plan. You'll get investment opportunities and deals. You'll get access to the Wealth Weekend in South Africa and all Portugal and the buyers' trips. So I'm going to stop the little poll now on the investor strategy. If you are interested, you can literally just go to Diversification Mastermind. There's a couple of questions that the team have put in here that I want to answer for you. I'm going to run through them quickly because I'm conscious of everyone's time. Now, why is it not moving forward? That's interesting. My PowerPoint is frozen. Okay, let me try again. Interesting. What is it doing? Okay, so I'm not sure if I qualify for this, but I do have investments, but I'm not sophisticated. So it's interesting. People often downplay themselves. We've had someone start with $1,000. I generally say to people, if you can invest $1,000 a month, or you've got sort of $12,000 in capital or more, then at a mastermind level and above, I definitely believe that we can help you in terms of that process. And so the most important thing is, are you committed to investing in yourself and being able to join a group of like-minded people so that you can go 5 times quicker, simpler, and safer? I'm really busy and time poor. How much time will it require? So no more than 3 hours a month. That's our commitment. Our whole philosophy is to try and reduce time to make it as accessible as possible for you in terms of that process. Why should I invest the money in the mastermind and not just do an investment? You can. We use the analogy of the home study course versus the coach. We've got the home study courses. You can go and buy them. You can go and do them. You can kind of ferret away and try to do it all on your own. We've given you access to everything. Or you can have a coach that literally holds your hand, works with you, holds you accountable, and statistically, you're going to get there 5 times quicker, simpler, and safer. As Harvard said, you'll be 400% better off with a coach. And so you get to choose. How quickly, simply, and safely do you want to get there? How can I use Wealth going global? And is this part of the mastermind? So this teaches you, this is a different level if you want to go deeper and have substance. It's the right information. And yes, it is part of the mastermind. Asset mastery, that gives you access to the top 15 assets around the world and the top 15 assets, partners that can help you invest in those assets. And its relationship to the mastermind, again, it's part of the mastermind. When you join the mastermind, you've reached the top of the mountain. Everything else is included. Is it South African focused? No, it's not. I live in South Africa. I have a South African accent, but our company is based out of England. We regulate it out of England. Our digital wallets are in Europe, and we help people invest in America, in England, in Europe, Australia, etc. We've got members from all over the world. I've already been through it tonight. And there's nothing South African about this other than my accent. Why should I join the mastermind versus doing it on my own? I think I answered that one already. But yeah, I suppose it's how committed you are to getting your results. What is the relationship with the family office? It's a joint venture with the family office. So our mastermind, what we call it, Private Wealth Global, is a joint venture between us. And anyone that qualifies to be part of the mastermind will automatically get access to the family office. I can't make one of the available time slots to see the team. What options do I have? Just type in the chat box if that is your problem. If you've gone to diversificationmastermind.com and you haven't been able to find a time, just type in their Mastermind, literally in the chat box. Just type in Mastermind, and then Shanika or one of the team members can reach out to you. I really need accountability. Will you help me? Will you hold me accountable? So I have this one all the time. And for me, this is really important. Between Alex and Shanika and myself, accountability is really important. And so whether you need the carrot or the stick, we will help hold you accountable to help you get results. Do you have a payment plan? Not really. About 90% of people, we tend to find when people pay, they pay attention. I know I've said that multiple times tonight, and it's a commitment to get going. But we have had it in some circumstances that we've come up with payment plans to help people because if it's the right person with the right fit and we know we can help them. I'm a big believer in that saying my father taught me, where there's a will, there's a way. And that's it. Are there any other questions? Is there anything else I can help you with? I know my team want to kill me because I'm 2.5 hours in and there's so much information that I wanted to share. So if there's any questions, just type them in the chat box. Nelson, thank you for your kind message that you said. Almore, I look forward to meeting you on the meeting. And I want to leave you, if there's no questions, with a final thought. And it's an African proverb that I like to use. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you very much for your time. I hope it added a lot of value to you. Thank you very much to Shanika and Shane and the team. As always, it's a tremendous privilege to be able to share with people. I always find it hard to take 28 years worth of knowledge and condense it down. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do this because every time it's like, wow, that would be valuable. We could add this value. We could do this in terms of that process. I hope we added value to you. And I always like to finish with a game. And the game is on the count of 3. So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. Just type in one word that sums up this session for you because I'm just fascinated. And so just on the count of 3, so 3, 2, 1, just type in the chat box what your experience was of this. So 3, 2, 1. What word encapsulates this session for you? I'm always fascinated to get people's inputs in terms of the learning and where we're at. To all of you that have participated and engaged, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to get your feedback in terms of that process. If you've got any questions, let us know. And to those of you who are meeting me on the one-to-one sessions, I look forward to it. You know, at the end of the day, we're here to help people get results. We are a digital platform, but we have a human heart. And so I really look forward to meeting with people, understanding where you're at, understanding what you're trying to achieve, understanding what's been blocking you, and most importantly, helping you come up with a game plan to help you achieve those results. So, yeah. And to those lucky few that get accepted for the mastermind, as I say, there's only 5 spots, but hopefully every single person here tonight now understands the value of getting a coach, getting a mentor, joining a group like a mastermind, getting access to a family office, getting access to the right information, getting access to the right partners so they can go quicker, simpler, and safer. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. We'll see you next time. Cheers.